Tonight on the Chillstream, terrorists use Bitcoin to fund their activities. Ferrari realizes it's losing the race to Lamborghini, and the chopstick jockeys fuck around. But will they find out? All of that and so much more coming back in 2 minutes. And we are back. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the show. Even though I fumbled the opening, I forgot to turn the camera on. I don't have a good excuse for that because I'm reasonably well rested. So anyway, tonight is Sunday, October 16th, 2023. And lots of stuff going on, lots of moving parts with things, some issues we cannot avoid. For me personally, the situation in the Middle East has basically meant that people stopped flying for a little while. There was no work Thursday, no work Friday, and no work Saturday. And then Sunday they called me up and asked me if I wanted to drive to Vermont, which my answer is usually no, because Vermont is a long ass way. I think they pay us for like 319 miles, but Vermont's a pain in the ass. But hadn't worked for the 3 days previous, so I'm like, yeah, okay. And this was relatively late in the afternoon. It was like about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the airport closes at 10. So you got to get there by 10, or else you're going to be fucked. You're going to be waiting around for them to find an alternative place for you to drop the stuff off. So I got my stuff at 16:20. I got my pieces and headed straight up to Vermont. Luckily, there really wasn't any traffic or any situations, but I drove nonstop and I made it there at like 9:42, just before the place closed. So I was very happy with that. But I drove for whatever 5.5 hours. I didn't stop to take a leak. I didn't stop for gas. I didn't stop for nothing. Just drive. And so I made it. So I was happy with that. And then coming home was fine. But yeah, there's not a whole lot. Not all the regular places we go: Philly, Baltimore, Dulles, Boston, Hartford, all the places I normally go, Albany. I'm not going because I don't know. Everyone's afraid of whatever, terrorism or something like that. This Newark Airport is under like super heavy security, of course. But every time it's one of their holidays or they do something, they literally bring out like every armed law enforcement in the state of New Jersey and put them in front of El Al Airlines at Terminal B in London. But anyway, this is to be expected. one thing I didn't expect, but not right away, because people have a tough time breaking out of what's comfortable. I mentioned that the reason why, people aren't using Bitcoin, they're not saving their money and their wealth in Bitcoin, is because you grew up in a world of colored pieces of paper, permission slips, slavery coupons, call them what you will. You've never known a world without them. They existed before you were born. You imagine they will exist till the end of time, even though history teaches you that all paper money eventually goes to zero. What you do as a cope is you say to yourself, well, you know what? Okay, that's true that all paper money goes to zero, but I'm really, really good at timing shit. I'm really an expert at timing exactly when the economy is going to completely fucking tank. And I'm really good at this, so don't worry. I don't need to do anything different. And the reason why you're saying that, again, is your interest. It's just a coping strategy. You're doing what's easy and acceptable to your friends and your family and everyone else, and you're not doing anything hard, because doing hard stuff sucks. Like driving straight to Vermont in one fucking shot without stopping to take a piss. That's not fucking easy. You know what I mean? It's not easy, and it's not fun, especially like the last fucking 50 miles. But and when you're racing against the clock. So, but people don't like doing hard things. They just don't like doing hard things. But you're going to have to do hard things sooner or later, or your life's going to basically cease. So you can do hard stuff, or you can continue to coast and tell yourself, no, I get this figured out. I can see what's going on. I'm really good at timing stuff. I got a great sense of timing and rhythm, but you don't. You know what I mean? Everyone knows that you don't. But when people break out of their habits, it's kind of interesting. So this is to relate to the situation in the Middle East. I'm not sure. I think this is the BBC. It's about a minute, 30 seconds, where they have some Palestinian guy who decides, you know what, I'm just not playing this game anymore.
You just condemned Israel for killing civilians, and you won't condemn Hamas for killing civilians.
How many times you have interviewed Israeli officials, Louise? Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. How many times Israel have committed war crimes right live on your own cameras? Do you start by asking them to condemn themselves? Have you? You don't. You don't. No, I'll answer that question. You don't. You know why I refuse to answer this question? Because I refuse the premise of it. Because at the very heart of it is misrepresentation of the whole thing. Because it's the Palestinians that are always expected to condemn themselves, as opposed to this business by BBC and the mainstream media for 75 years. You bring us here whenever there are Israelis who are killed. Did you bring me here when many Palestinians in the West Bank, more than 200 over the last few months? Do you invite me when there is such Israeli provocations in Jerusalem and elsewhere? Because what Israelis have seen, which we started by saying tragic, the last 48 hours, the Palestinians see every day for the last 50 years. You know the situation in Gaza, you've just described it. This is the biggest open-air prison. Those people, 2 million, have been taken hostage by Israel for the last 16 years. So I'm saying this just to say, Louise, perhaps this is about time we abandon this rhetoric, very dangerous, this framework, and we start giving people the real ugly truth sometimes.
That guy was that guy could articulate that. Obviously, it's a very emotionally charged situation, but the guy held it together and he made some pretty devastating points. And in order to do that, that's really what I do here. When I tell people that you're putting your future, your children's future, your grandchildren's future in the hands of people who issue colored pieces of paper. They just print colored pieces of paper, or they press a button now. Jerome Powell just presses a button and they print it digitally. And, the quality of your life, you entrust to people who think you were born to be their slave. That's just dumb. You know what I mean? That's dumb. And you imagine, I don't know, and you imagine someone's going to come and rescue you, and no one's going to come and rescue you. You're not Rapunzel. You're not some fairy tale princess and locked in a fucking tower. You know, you're going to have to save yourself, and nobody wants to hear that. But that's the way it has to go. And that guy, whoever that dude was, being invited on that show, you know, enough time. He's like, enough is enough. Why don't we start telling the truth? And the faster you do that, the better off you're going to be. Even though a lot of people know the truth, they tell the truth. The people don't even hear it. Virgil Doc, Purple Heart, welcome to the show, sir. And Judas Fly Chai, the based Persian Michelin guy. 2 like button smashers, by the way. 2 confirmed like button smashers. But this sort of thing, you know, even in the midst of all this, I saw this. This was like the Wall Street Journal. It says, what does it say? Militants boosted holdings of crypto over the past year. So it's like, oh, Bitcoin is funding terrorists again. They're going back to the Bitcoin is funding terrorists thing. You know what I mean? Bitcoin is terrorism money. You know, Bitcoin is terrorism money. They're just, you know, they love their repeats. They love their reruns. But the truth is, things go forward and not back, right? We're not going back. Last week when we were visited by, I don't know how many feds or wherever they were. I think they were feds. We had like, I don't know how many, 3, 4, 5 of them in the chat, and I had a ban. But Eki Lux was in the chat, and he's like, well, I'm going to stack silver coins. And the point I make, the precious metal guys who have a lot of this stuff, right? They have a lot of it, correct. But they don't have an exit strategy. And when you go out to a store, you know, you see Apple Pay and Google Pay. You don't see, you don't see we accept gold and silver coins. You know, nobody improves their situation by using older technology. We're not going back to metal discs as money, right? This experiment with paper bills is about to run its course, but we are definitely not going backwards to gold and silver coins. Like, how there's just no way you could run an economy. You might as well go back to horses and wagons. Federico Vasconcelos, welcome to the show, sir. Hola, look at this. Top 3 regular commenters in the chat. So the terrorists are using Bitcoin. Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever, which of course, you know, they're just the same shit they would say. But the truth of who really is in charge of shit, who's in charge of everything. I got, it's 46 seconds of video by the one and only Alan Greenspan. I don't know if you remember him. He was the chairman of the Federal Reserve, a Jewish guy, amazingly. Came out of Bank of New York. Supposedly he was a jazz musician turned banker. I know that's a unique career path, but and ended up going from jazz musician to chairman of the Federal Reserve, and I think he was there for like 20 years. But this is some old video of him back in, I don't know, I guess like the early 90s, talking with I can't remember the guy. I don't know. I want to say Charlie Rose. It's not Charlie Rose. It's another guy that's like a contemporary of Charlie Rose.
What is the proper relationship? What should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter.
This Alan Greenspan saying in plain English, as long as you don't talk back to us and try and tell us what to do, everything will be fine. Just do what we tell you to do. it couldn't be more obvious who really runs the country, right? Judas Fleischai, Hail Judas in Gematria is equal to the German translation of the words Hail Victory, not fibbing. Well, that's interesting. I did not know you were a practitioner of gematria, sir. That is a mathematical skill of numbers and letters that I personally do not possess, and nor do I think it is worthwhile to learn that skill. However, I do have the skill of sitting in a one-bedroom apartment in New Jersey and basically saying things that are racist and homophobic and anti-Semitic and I don't know, misogynist and whatever. I basically am looking every week to offend every group I could possibly offend, piss you off, tip over your sacred cows, and have a good time doing it. The main focus, of course, is human freedom and human flourishing, and that comes not from Alan Greenspan, because that is just people at the top extracting all the value upwards, and this has been going on for a very, very long time. But we're looking to, at least Bitcoiners are looking to, change the world. We have a way to do it, and we believe we're going to succeed, because this next video, which I have, which is it's less than a minute. I'll tell you, man, Instagram just feeds me all sorts of cool shit. It's like I don't know. They have my taste dialed in real well, but I wonder who's making all this content.
The Crown is not the British royal family. The real Crown is the private corporate city of London, and it has 12 council members who serve as representatives for the 13 of the world's wealthiest banking families. The families include the Rothschild family, the Warburg family, the Oppenheimer family, and the Schiff family. The British Parliament and the British Prime Minister serve as a public front to these 13 ruling families. The city-state of London is the wealthiest square mile on the face of the earth. It houses the Bank of England, the London Stock Exchange, all British banks, branch offices of 385 foreign banks, and 70 US banks. It has its own courts, its own laws, its own flag, its own police force, and pays no taxes.
Oh, that's the city of London, right? It's interesting. The guy says the 13 families that rule the world, or whatever. I don't know that there's 13 families that rule the world, but the 4 that he does mention all have one thing in common. They all have one thing in common. Can you guess what it is? Judas Fleischai, I took up gematrias of all the monikers of my favorite internet. Wow, that's good. Look up the gematria of all of your favorite internet racism friends. That is an awesome, fun hobby. That's good. I like that a lot. That would be a fun way to spend an afternoon with gematria. I approve of that use of your time, sir. I absolutely approve of that, the use of your time. So, what else did I say? What else did I say in the intro where I forgot to turn on the camera because I'm a fucking numbskull? But our friends in Italy, if we take a quick hop over to Italy, you know, Ferrari, the people who make those really fast, zoomy cars that everybody likes, is starting to realize that they ain't getting no Bitcoin. They're like, hey, why the fuck are these Lamborghini guys are getting all of the Bitcoin? So now Ferrari is going to accept crypto, probably Bitcoin only, for their cars in the US. So, you know, the meme of snorting cocaine out of a supermodel's ass crack after you drive around in a Lamborghini, Ferrari's looking to change that into, you know, just replacing the car. I don't think they care about the drug thing or the or anything else, but you know, they definitely are trying to figure out a way to get some of those Bitcoins. They want to get some Bitcoins because, you know, pasta is price of pasta going up everywhere. By the way, price of fucking. I stopped in today. I went to Walmart. I stopped at Walmart to get some things, and I picked up 1 pound of ground beef. 1 pound of 80/20 ground beef in Walmart, the cheapest store you can buy it in, $6, $5.97. I don't normally buy mincemeat or ground beef, So I don't know. I knew the price was like over $5, but I didn't realize it was fucking $6. That is going to have a lot of people very upset. Sigs and Codes hasn't been around in a while. Not live, but good to catch a part of this live, James. Like button smash. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the like button smash. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I am wearing my my Firearms Policy Coalition "Fuck You No" shirt, which is a very, very, very super pro Second Amendment outfit that does a lot of really good work. They sue everybody and everyone, and they win. They actually win a lot. So the current, everybody knows that right now you can't escape. You can't really escape any news out of the Middle East. It's all over the place. But this is not as new as you think it is. It's been around for a really, really, really long time. This guy, I like this kid. He writes books. He actually writes children's books where he's trying to, I don't know, trying to red pill the youths. But he does his cool like less than 90-second videos on Instagram that I get a kick.
This is how the Spanish were depicted during the Spanish-American War. This is how the Germans were depicted during World War I. Because getting people to support horror requires dehumanization. In the early 2000s, the Pentagon was caught spending over $500 million to make fake Al-Qaeda videos. And that was following a traumatizing event. Then they had a terror advisory system which warned people how likely events were to be attacked. You really want to go to that concert? And for years, the media bombarded people with talk of radical Islamic terrorism. Muslims were dehumanized, and people were so terrified that they gave up their constitutional rights. This is where the plot gets really good. In 2007, they introduced Obama to the show, and he does a 180. Says that if you don't want Muslims in the country, it's because you're xenophobic, which started the process of what? Dehumanizing European Americans. Racist, bigot, homophobe, all designed to dehumanize you. And now they can use the Patriot Act against Americans. But it was really clever how they went about everything. Trauma event, get everyone scared of Islamic terrorism. Introduce Obama. If you're scared, it's because you're full of hate. The flip was the perfect strategy to divide and conquer. And this is why my books teach about propaganda and dehumanization. In Operation Mockingbird, it starts with danger, bear crimes. In The Right to Bear Arms, skunks are bad. So we could familiarize our children with propaganda in a safe and fictional way. Cubs to bears.
So, yeah, so that guy, he writes books. He's a reasonably aware kid. He writes some books about how to help clear your mind of propaganda. And you know, to the degree that you have nieces or nephews, little kids that you yourself might be able to influence, those books that this guy writes, giving them to the youths might help them quite a bit. Because what is this? This guy, I said I like this kid. I got like 3 videos of him. I'm going to show you another one. It's another like a 90-second video. And this is for me and for people that are aware of elite power, who the power really is. When I see stuff like this, it used to frustrate me, but now it's just funny because he almost gets it. Like he almost gets it, and he just misses. You know what I mean? But I don't blame him for that. I don't blame him for that at all.
Without bankers funding wars, there is no United States of America. You see, England was in $133 million of debt after the French and Indian War. And that's why they implemented the Tea Act and the Stamp Act and the Sugar Act. They had to pay back the banks. The problem they had is the colonists were so effective at boycotting. England repealed the Stamp Act and the Sugar Act because British businesses begged the king to end the boycotts. And they were only possible because the colonists were such independent people. Farmers, blacksmiths who grew their own food and controlled their own supply chains. Now do you see what I mean when I talk about the importance of self-reliance and supply chains? But the debt remained, so did the tax on tea. So people like John Hancock started smuggling it, allegedly. But his ship was searched and confiscated without warrant. So the colonists boarded a ship in the night and threw a ton of tea into Boston Harbor. So the British escalated, took away any form of self-governance, the ability to gather, to protest, or to have any privacy even in your own home. And then at Lexington and Concord, King George sent the British to confiscate the guns. But Paul Revere saw them coming. It's not enough to just teach kids their rights. They have to know why they have those rights. And you can't understand the history of war until you understand the history of banking. Check out my private homeschool community, the courses I teach, and Cubs to Bears, bugs.
So that's pretty, like he's just this close. He's like, you can't understand the history of war until you understand the history of banking. And who does he show? The first guy, Jacob Rothschild. Absolutely. First guy he throws up there is Rothschild, who to him is an Englishman. Now, what's that kid's name? Well, you could just Google the names of the books. I don't know what the guy's name is. You're asking. This is not nearly as professional a show as you might sometimes think. Wow, this guy's super slick. He must have a big production team. No, I really don't. I don't know what the guy's name is, but I'm sure if you Google Cubs to Bears books, you will find his books. But where else? I got one more. I got one more of him that's just so super obvious. Last one. This is only 1:10. But you know, the super incestuous fucking relationship of how they just rerun everything over and over it's all so tiresome sometimes.
In 2013, Jeff Bezos and Amazon got a $600 million contract from the CIA, and then Bezos turned around and purchased the Washington Post. He was able to buy it for $250 million. Around that same time, billionaire Carlos Slim wanted to push for open borders, so he bought the New York Times. And this is why I tell people media is inherently corrupted and it's nothing new. Do you know how JP Morgan got Americans to support World War I? He purchased the 25 most influential newspapers in the country. His banks had lent a ton of money to the Allied powers and he wanted to make sure that he'd get paid back. Rupert Murdoch, Ted Turner, pushing agendas, not news. William Randolph Hearst, he used his papers to start the Spanish-American War. And this is why I wrote a children's book on the congressionally documented history of fake news. Schools are teaching kids to cite mainstream media as reputable sources for their term papers, when they should be teaching them how to track money and how to track people. But that's the thing, a lot of teachers have no idea. And that's what Cubs to Bears books is about. We can do better. BasketLearner.com.
So there you go. Damn, I thought that you were slicker. Face blue. Yes, I know. It's sad when your heroes. When I fall from such a great height, I fall off my the pedestal that people put me on. But I think that kid's name is Brett Pike, Brett Pike. I think I saw that real. I don't know. I was trying to squint and get close to the screen while the video was on. But let's Google Brett Pike and see what it is. See what it is you get. But we have to go now into other things that other than media manipulation, because we're entering a very bad time. I saw this some other city, I guess it's in California, is going to start with UBI. This is, the money printing will not stop, right? And there's nothing you can do to make it stop. There's no one you can elect that's going to make it stop. They're just going to print money and give it away to whatever groups that they favor, and those groups will, of course, respond by doing whatever the fuck they're told. So if they want to make a certain part of a city unlivable, they'll make that, move all the homeless over there and drop the real estate prices, right? Everybody sells their home at a loss. Then they make the police push the homeless out. They, buy up those homes cheap, and then when the value goes back up, they sell the houses. There's 100 ways they can do this. The CIA loans Jeff Bezos money to buy the CIA's own newspaper. it's all so fucking tiresome. And they get that because they have that power, because they have the power of the money printer. And putting a different group of people in charge of the money printer isn't going to change anything. You're still going to be in a system where a group of people you can't touch and you can't influence decide the quality of your life based on who fucking knows, based on their mood, right? On how much more they want to extract from you today. And it isn't just universal basic income for homeless people. This guy, I've shown this guy a bunch of times before. He's a real estate bro. His website is like reventure.com. It's like real estate ventures, reventure.com. Found out something really interesting. Remember, we're at the end of 2023, right? It's October 2023. 2024 is coming up. It's an election year. And in an election year, you got to have a good economy.
Is the Biden administration trying to ban foreclosures again? Possibly, because the Federal Housing Administration just announced that they're now extending COVID-19 loss mitigation options to all mortgage borrowers who fall behind on their mortgage payments regardless of their cause of delinquency. Which means that if someone has an FHA loan and they lose their job or just can't pay their mortgage, they won't get foreclosed on. And what's even crazier is that mortgage borrowers who default can now receive reductions in their monthly payment by as much as 25%, which is an interesting incentive structure, everyone. If you default, you don't have to pay as much money. How about that? Now, to be clear, this isn't an outright ban on all foreclosures. This specifically pertains to FHA first-time homebuyer mortgages, which account for about 25% of the U.S. mortgage market. However, it's a really bad look for the Biden administration because after they already prevented 2 million foreclosures during the pandemic, they're trying to prevent even more at a time when inventory on the U.S. housing market's near a record low.
Right? Win re-election, win re-election, win re-election. I don't care how you have to do it. And trust me, people are going to figure out all they have to do if you have an FHA mortgage is just don't pay your mortgage. Don't pay your mortgage for 1 or 2 months. Say you don't have the money. They will slash your mortgage payment by 25%. They're going to knock 25% off. I don't know how many homes. A quarter of the fucking mortgages out there. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But it doesn't matter. They make a lot of short-term decisions or decisions with long-term impact based on their short-term desires. They just want to get reelected. Everybody in the Biden administration just wants to get reelected. As soon as that happens, a bunch of them will just bail. They'll just fucking leave. You know what I mean? And they will go to Wall Street or some cushy sinecure that pays them $1 gazillion, and they'll just put their feet up and not work for the next 10 years until they get called back to the next fucking the next administration that might want them. Last thing on this one. This is a good racism. This is a very racist. This dude's down in Philly, and I recognize it because I drive through Philly a lot. But this guy's, it always bothers me that some people say stuff that I can't say. That's why this little electronic clubhouse, I just ban people I don't like. It's about, you being here because you want to be here, because you think I have something interesting to say, or you think it's entertaining or whatever, or you want reinforcement for your own, just for your own peace of mind. But things have to be said that are uncomfortable truths.
I don't think it's no greater torture than to have to live around some ignorant, dirty ass fucking niggas. They ignorant, they dirty, they throw trash everywhere. They facilitate the mice, roaches, bats, cats, dogs, dope fiends. I feel sorry for some of these homeowners because they making just enough to keep their lights on, and they have to be subject to these motherfucking slime ball, scum of the earth, worthless ass niggas and bitches. They need to get rid of all them fucking Section 8 houses. It's the worst, man. That's how you destroy a community. Y'all stay on point and watch these worthless ass niggas before they break into your house.
So stay on point. You know, aside from this guy dropping N-bombs, which he's allowed to do, and I'm not allowed to do, but, you know, he's figured out that Section 8 housing, right, that the parasite class at the bottom, you know what I mean, the people who get subsidized housing, ruin the quality of life for everyone around them, okay? He doesn't articulate it the way I just did, but he understands the basic mechanism. And I think he understands, Federico, harsh words. That is not harsh words, sir. Here's the thing, Federico. Here's the thing about black people, and I'm not the world's expert on black, but I will tell you this: there is nothing you could possibly say, no way you could say it, no invective, no insult, no hate speech that's worse than they say about themselves all day, every day. Like all day, every day. They wake up in the morning, nigga this, nigga that. You know what I mean? Nigga at lunchtime, nigga here, nigga there. It's like fucking every time, all over. Not when white people are around, okay? They don't do it when white people are around, but it's nigga, 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 nigga. You know what I mean? All the time. And nothing you could possibly say. No, I mean, there's nothing you could say that's worse than they say about themselves. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. You can't publicly disrespect them. They'll kill you. They'll beat you to death. They'll shoot you. They'll stab you. They'll throw you in front of a bus if you publicly disrespect them. So I wouldn't go thinking, well, we got free speech and we can do whatever we want. You better be, you go dropping N-bombs in real life in front of these people. You better be prepared for some life-threatening consequences. Life-threatening consequences. So, but where are we at now? You have to understand that there are the forces. I love this piece of video. This is only 13 seconds, but Ron DeSantis, who's out there defending Israel from refugees, he's going to make sure that the Statue of Liberty now, for when Ron DeSantis becomes president, they're going to change the plaque at the bottom, right? Because they don't want the people from Gaza, who, I don't know, I thought they were Muslims. I thought we're not allowed to be against Muslims. But I think that that the bootlickers in American politics have really got this wrong. But that doesn't stop the three-letter agencies from you know, taking our tax dollars and spending them. I might show this a couple of times because it takes a minute to zoom in. But this is Florida. Remember, Florida, and remember, this is the super recent. And COVID's over. So what do they have, like 25 guys and you know, not black Nazi flags everywhere, and they're all throwing up their salutes, Sieg Heil, Sieg, over a fucking over a highway overpass somewhere in Florida, and there were no police around. Nobody could catch them. Nobody saw them arrive. Nobody saw them leave. There's no video of their license plates. None of that. It's just, look, Florida is full of Nazis. The next Hitler is going to come from, I don't know, maybe he's wrestling alligators right now, preparing for his beer hole push, whatever. The three-letter agencies are still spending money doing these incredibly bad street theater performances. That I don't even think they show that on. I don't think they show that on news. I think that's like social media only. You know what I mean? I think they're all getting paid plenty of overtime plus 10%, you know, for field operations, for being out there and doing that shit. But man, that is so embarrassing that they don't even fucking try to put that on the news, because I think everyone would laugh at them. But the FedGov actually is worried about certain things. And governments around the world are worried about, what are they worried about? Are they worried about gold and silver coins? No, they are not. They are worried about Bitcoin.
Look at China. People used Bitcoin without the government's approval on WeChat. They can see what you write in the chat. So if you say, like, I don't like the CCP, they will literally arrest you, chain you into a chair and interrogate you and say, why did you say some bad about the government? So in that country, how can you work with crypto? People basically with emojis encoded the private keys of Bitcoin into those emojis, send them through the chat. As long as the person on the other end knows that they're supposed to be receiving coins, they can basically decrypt that and receive them through the internet, but without the CCP knowing or the police knowing at all.
So, want to send Bitcoin over the internet in China, right? You take the you take the private key that you're sending, put it on an emoji, and send it to who you want. And you go, well, that's totalitarian, authoritarian China, and they're trying to control everything. Well, luckily for us, the U.S. officials are worried that Chinese-owned Bitcoin mines in Wyoming will pose a national security threat. This is from October 14th of 2023. So Microsoft, yes, Bill Gates' Microsoft, reported to the federal government that a Bitcoin mining facility in Wyoming, which apparently is owned by Chinese nationals, is it the Chinese government? I'm not really sure. But they're very, very worried that that China mining Bitcoin in America is a national security threat. Kind of an interesting take, right? Kind of a really, really interesting take. The U.S. federal government is not worried that China is stacking gold coins or silver coins. They're not really worried about that. You know what I mean? They're worried that the national security of America could be compromised by Bitcoin, and not by anything else, by Bitcoin. Now we're going to hop over. We're going to go back to Africa, but I'm going to show you two. I got two pieces of video. One I called Dumb Spear Chucker, and the other one I called Smart Spear Chucker, which again is me doing my requisite racism per show. But we're going to start with the Dumb Spear Chucker, and then we'll move on.
So Julius Malema, the man who sang "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer," wants to seize all the white farms in South Africa. But what happened in Zimbabwe when this very thing occurred? In the year 2000, Zimbabwean dictator Robert Mugabe decided to seize the highly successful and productive farms of the around 4,500 white farmers in the country. Mugabe's supporters, many claiming to be war veterans, descended on the white properties, forcibly evicting their owners. The seizures were violent. Both white farmers and black farm workers were killed in this process, and looting and destruction were commonplace. However, unlike the whites, who had decades of specialised skill and knowledge of farming, Mugabe's loyalists who took over were clueless when it came to the practice. And in the country that was once called the breadbasket of Africa, starvation and famine set in. In just a few short years, wheat production alone dropped from 309,000 tonnes to just 27,000 tonnes. The seizure of the farms caused economic collapse, with the government printing more money to meet its obligations and causing hyperinflation, which incredibly at its peak was around 80 billion% per month and caused the printing of the $100 trillion Zimbabwe banknote. Millions emigrated from the nation, and as late as 2019, even post-Mugabe, the UN was warning of man-made starvation in the country.
So you can see how with the right leadership, things can go fucking real bad, real fucking fast. But not everyone in Africa is quite as dumb as the South Africans. There are some Africans who are having a little chat with everyone's favorite fucking white supremacist hero or Christian Orthodox hero, Vladimir Putin. They're getting a talking to here.
They are not manufacturing anything at all. It's printing money. And this has been one of their weapons globally. The monetary system, the global monetary system, controlled by dollar and euro, has been used. Sanctions here, sanctions there, sanctions there, grabbing this account, grabbing that account, has been one of their tools. This is not going to continue indefinitely. And we need a new financial architecture globally, not controlled by euro, not controlled by the dollar, not controlled by other currencies.
The Russians are like, what the fuck? The Russians are like, what the fuck? They're either staring at the table. They're not saying, oh, we got this great BRICS currency. We're going to back it with gold, blah, 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 blah. They don't even answer them with that because, you know, that whole thing was bullshit from the jump. There's no gold-backed currency from China, India, Russia, whatever, Brazil. That's all bullshit. It's always going to be bullshit. They're just staring at the table while the black dude's like, hey, motherfucker, we need something that works here. We're tired of playing this game where if you don't like what we're doing or you're in a certain fucking mood, you just take all our fucking money. Now, I'm not saying that guy's a good guy, but he understands that, you know, that this is not going to last forever. When is it going to crash? I don't know when it's going to crash, but it is going to crash and it will not last forever. Particularly once Bitcoin gets built up from where it is, because we're not quite ready for prime time yet, but we will be. When enough people start building enough usable software for everyone that's secure and easy, then the dollar is going to have some real competition. And people across the third world, you know, things are not working for them, and you can laugh now, but I promise, will cry later because you don't want to end up, you just don't want to end up with Weimar conditions. And you can avoid that on a personal level. You can avoid that for your family. You can avoid that for your children and your grandchildren if you make some relatively easy and smart choices now. Okay, but if you think no, I got this, I'm going to trade options on NVIDIA stock, or I'm going to do, I don't know, whatever you think you're going to do, or I'm going to outcompete my neighbors and make more money than them. And you know, I hope you make, I don't know, you might need to make 8,000% more a month. You know what I mean? I don't know how you're going to do that, but you set a really difficult task for yourself. You know, it would be wiser to begin to step by step move some of your wealth into something that they can't confiscate and they can't stop. Okay, the concern that terrorists are using Bitcoin, you know, and Hamas is using Bitcoin to fund its activities. China is mining Bitcoin in Wyoming. Well, you didn't know the fucking, like, come on, how did you not know that that was happening, right? Now all of a sudden the Fed goes upset. Well, why would it matter, right? If it's just stupid, if it's just magic internet money, if it's just a flash in the pan, it's fucking, if it's the pet rock of finance, what are you worried about? How is it a threat to American national security? They sometimes say the quiet part out loud. It would be smart for you to cut through all the fucking static and the nonsense, like the guy from, like the Palestinian guy in the beginning, you know, reject their framework. You have to reject the idea that a corporation issues colored pieces of paper that control the quality of your life. If you reject that premise, well, you know what? There's a possibility you could get to a much brighter future. I got one more video. What do we got here? We got some guy. We got a Chinese guy. I can't remember what he's talking about.
I'm trying to accelerate that message with politicians. Money is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is money. And now what that means is money is energy and information. And if you have energy, you're a rich nation. And that usually gets them very interested. What if you set up a mining operation and you're just mining the Bitcoin and financing an entire country? So it's almost irresponsible not to tap into that. Build roads, build hospitals, whatever you need. Oil is great. You put oil in a barrel, you ship it anywhere in the world. But with geothermal and hydro, Bitcoin is a godsend. Yeah. Because now you're a rich nation. You can be Saudi Arabia or the Emirates. The other interesting thing is, I tell them, even if you don't want the Bitcoin, you can simply sell it. And I think that's also a light bulb moment where they start to think maybe there's another way, because taxation has kind of run out of control. And then you have the hidden tax of inflation.
all of this stuff is going to come to its inevitable conclusion. They're going to keep printing more money everywhere all the time. It's going to have less and less value. They're going to tax you more and more. They're going to give it away to homeless people or to their friends or whatever. And sooner or later, it's going to crash. Why not protect yourself? It just doesn't make sense to behave in any other way. But some people only learn the hard way after being rug pulled many times. But with that, we are at 50. What have we got? 50 minutes and 50 minutes. I don't think I have any more videos, and I think I pretty much made every point. Did I not make every point? Did I not make every point? Here's a point. Here's a good point. The point of smash up the like button, everybody. Everybody that's coming here later on in the week. I know we have a lot of like button smashers currently in the chat, but there will be people later on in the week thinking, well, the show's already passed. It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday. Do I really need to smash up the like button? Yes, yes, you do. You need to smash up the like button. Why? Because I'm the only guy on the internet that shows you that Florida's full of Nazis. How else would you know of the threat of Floridian Nazis right outside your door? How else would you become aware of that if it were not for my hard work? Anyway, yeah, I think that's that. There's all these pieces are out there. Like all of these pieces are really, really out there, and it's moving slowly enough that you could put it together. You have time to think about it, really meditate on what the future is going to be like. It's just going to be different people issuing different colored pieces of paper, and then it's going to work. I think that that's unlikely. That doesn't seem like a very likely future. We're not going to go back to fucking gold and silver coins. How are you going to get something from South Korea or England or Europe or Africa? How are you going to send it? Are you going to send a box of gold coins to Africa? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Think it through. What's going to work and what's not going to work. They're not going to uninvent the internet. They're not going to shut off the internet. There's not going to be an EMP or a solar flare or whatever fucking ridiculous scenario you think is going to happen. Sooner or later, this Bitcoin ETF is going to allow a lot of money to flow into Bitcoin, and that's going to set off a series of events and drive incentives that I think it's going to be pretty fucking amazing to watch. I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm excited to see what the future holds. Because for me, even though occasionally I have to fucking drive 5 hours one direction without having to take a piss, I know that the future for me is brighter than it's been in a very, very long time. But that's because I opted out. I just decided I'm not measuring my life and my success based on a system, an economic system that I can't even influence. But with that, 53 minutes, 33 seconds, Judas Fly Chai, Virgil Doc Purple Heart, Federico Vasconcelos, and Sigs and he changed his name. Sigs and what did he change his name to? Sigs and Codes. Which makes me Codes makes him sound like he's taking some of that Sig Sauer money and spending it on Bitcoin. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys this week. And we'll see you again next week. Have a good night.